What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Twitch and Box Sports Talk State of the Team edition. This is also Wild Card Week edition, so we're in the playoffs now. Excited about this for sure. The Denver Broncos lock up the 1 seed with a 19-3 win over the LA Chargers backups. Bo Nix, 141 yards. Also led the team in rushing, 8 for 49. Kicked field goals, won the game. That's all that matters. Got the number 1 seed, so we get to rest our guys next week, which is huge. Excited to see who we play first round. Hoping on the Steelers to beat the Texans because, granted, we beat the Texans before. I think we can do it again, but just it'd be a lot easier to play the Steelers. I'd feel a lot more confident playing the Steelers than I would against the Texans. Defense for sure. But Bo Nix finishes the season with 3,900 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, sacked 22 times, which was tied for the league minimum of sacks taken, so our offensive line's been playing great. I'm most excited about the run game coming into its own. R.J. Harvey rushing, kind of filling in for that J.K. Dobbins injury that I was kind of worried that was going to be the end of our run or how hot we got there. But we figured out ways to win down the stretch, logging up the 1 seed. I somehow predicted exactly how our season would go at 14-3. I didn't have us. I had us losing to the Chiefs one time instead of the Jaguars, but that shook out the way that looked good for us. I'm excited for our guys to get rest. I think Sean Payton will have our guys ready for whoever our division round matchup is across the board. Sean Payton's done great all year with whoever we're playing next. And obviously, barring a crazy upset, it will be probably Pittsburgh or Houston unless...
Well, but Buffalo's the 6th seed, so if Buffalo wins, it won't even matter who wins that Houston-Pittsburgh game. And the Chargers the 7th seed. I don't see them beating them.
Yeah, so, it'll be interesting to see. And I think we'd gladly host Josh Allen. And after what happened last year in the playoffs, I think this team's a different team, and Josh Allen has less weapons. It feels probably going to come back to bite me. Hopefully it doesn't, knock on wood. But I'd gladly play Josh Allen in the playoffs with how they've been this year and how these guys have these chips on their shoulder after how we lost last year.
That made me twitch.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it figures out, though, because, why not knock out Josh Allen and then we can go beat Drake May and make it to the Super Bowl? That'd be crazy if it's a Drake May Bo Nix AFC Championship game, though, or just seeing how that one shakes out. But I'm excited to see how the playoff goes here. Crazy we got the 1 seed. Before the season, I didn't see that one happening. I figured we'd be good, but I didn't think the 1 seed was in reach. But we got it and made it to the dance. We only have to win 2 games and we're in the Super Bowl. So I have faith in our guys. I have faith in Sean Payton. As long as we don't revert back to screen pass Payton, I think we'll make a run here. Our defense has been playing good.
You done with SPP? Screen pass Payton?
Yeah, I'm done with SPP, man. Just Payton, keep throwing the ball down the field. I would rather lose by being aggressive and throwing verts and throwing deep balls off the play action than lose by throwing screen passes and that crap that we did early season. And, granted, we were still winning games, so I shouldn't complain too much. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Well, that's when I think the Broncos have been at their best is when you've opened that up and you've let Bo come out there and sling the rock. That's been the better games to watch for sure. So
and then
Sean does get conservative in those situations, so we'll see how conservative he is
in the playoffs.
I think he'll be more aggressive in the playoffs.
I hope so. And then our quarterback's coach, Davis Webb, is interviewing for the Raiders head coaching job. The Raiders don't want him. He's not good. Bo Nix has regressed, so they shouldn't hire him at all. I'll be interested to see if he ends up taking the job. He deserves an offensive coordinator job. I said last year after we fired our offensive coordinator that we should hire Coach Webb. I think his name's Ryan or David Webb. David Webb's his name, but I think he deserves an offensive coordinating job from what he's done with Bo Nix and then just helping the passing game. I think he'll get an offensive coordinator job. Hopefully it's with Denver. Obviously don't want to lose a good player call like that. I think Vance Joseph come back for another year just because he's went out and tried to be a head coach, and granted it was in Denver, but tried to be a head coach. But when you're coaching a defense like this and you're playing for the second richest owners in the league, if not the richest, the Walmart or the Walton family who owns Walmart, I think you just go ask for a pay raise and they'll give it to you and you can come back another year. But excited to be where we're at, excited to see how the stretch goes here. Obviously, it's good to have a first-round bye, so you see how everything shakes out this week and not, kind of have a rest week for my nerves because I was driving back from Western Kansas when this game was happening. And I just kept seeing field goal. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We put another example of Denver playing down to their competition, but also not emptying the bag against another playoff team that you might end up seeing in a weird stretch down the way here. But
I feel like for the Chargers game or for the Broncos, like knowing that if they won that.
Yeah.
If the Chargers had really taken the lead or like moved the ball offensively, I think you would have seen them open up. But I feel like they were like, okay, we're not going to blink.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Raiders game a couple weeks ago where
Yeah.
you didn't have. Granted, it was an ugly win, but also you don't want to empty the bag on a
Right.
game that doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
But crazy, we're the 1 seed. We're getting guys back. Waterburger's coming back. Trey Greenlaw will be back. So excited for the playoff run. I'm excited we're here. But rolling into the state of the Steelers, Twitch's team made the playoffs despite all odds, despite the roller coaster that we rode with Twitch this year of, oh my God, the Steelers suck, and holy shit, we're winning the division. We rode it all, and they ended up winning the division and getting the 4th seed.
I haven't thought they were going to win the division since the Ravens were 1-5. So.
This is true.
No, I mean, I said kudos. I said as much as I dog on Tomlin, I said like for them to go 4-1 down the stretch, get the big win, big game this week. I mean, I think the side story for the Steelers is Cam Hayward playing the way he's played the last couple of weeks, and Alex Highsmith coming back since he's been healthy, and when TJ was out, and like I said, he's just been an absolute force of all 3 games. Nick Herbig missing some time at the end of the year, I said, but when he's on the field, he's just as good as Highsmith and not Watt. I said, but I mean, Watt hasn't been TJ Watt the last 2 years. I'm just being honest. And he's one of my all-time favorites. But what I'm going to say was, for all these other guys, I mean, this is a random point. Sorry, off subject, but we were talking about DK Metcalf. I don't think there's anybody more happy that a little missing that kick than DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
But the whole reason why Pittsburgh's in the playoffs is just being real is because of Aaron Rodgers. Here's a crazy couple statistics for you that I just saw this week was since November, Aaron Rodgers has not thrown a pick since November, and you look at DK missing the last 2 weeks. I know the Steelers went 1-1 and struggled for the first half last week, but he's completing over 70-some% of his passes. I think it's like 73-74% of his passes to the number 29 ranked receiving core. That's obviously with the full season of DK Metcalf, so 32 out of 32. Which just goes to I meant to touch base on that on our Steelers-Ravens recap, was just the fact of going out there with 32 out of 32 receiving core and Rodgers making those plays down the stretch. Both different times where you wonder, okay, who's going to be the guy making a play, and Rodgers, for an offense that struggled to score 2 touchdowns in their last 2 drives. So, state of the Steelers. They're going to have to, they get DK Metcalf back over that opens some things up on the offensive side of the ball. And then, I mean, I feel like it's got to be the same story. I said different points throughout the year that I've already talked about, and it's come to fruition. It's obviously, it's guys that make plays. I said, but I talked about week 3 and 4 when Jaylen Warren was out. It's kind of like they don't have a solid number one. They've got 2 really good, but no solid number one. But it's by committee. Whereas, like even on the Sunday Night Football game, between Gainwell and Warren, they have about 180 yards total offense. They might have 50 yards rushing apiece and 30 yards, but they make enough of the scrounge up enough offense on top of the last couple of weeks, even in Cleveland, getting Pat Freiermuth more involved. And so, I'd like to see continue that. I said, but they said. I'm happy they were here. So after all year saying that they'd be, first of all, they finished 10-7. So I said 9-8, 10-7. Either the last team in, which they were the last team in, or the first team out. And I said first round exit, but I said I actually we talked about on the actual podcast was with everything else. I just feel like Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh, possibly Rodgers last year, who knows, and just in a close game already. So I feel like getting DK back will be huge, and Pittsburgh they're not going to have the same time to throw that they do with they've had last week. I mean, that was kind of the knock on Baltimore all year, was not having that pass rush. So Houston, deservedly so, is the favorite, but I look, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm looking at that would be their keys to victory, was just getting 4, 5, 6 catches out of Pat Fryermuth, getting Gainwell, getting Jalen Warren, who's a big play machine. It's like I said, between the two of them, that's what I wanted to see earlier in the year was when Warren was down, you saw Gainwell kind of step up. And this with Gainwell, who won a Super Bowl last year with Philly, it's just like it seems like he just always makes the big plays in the big moments. He like both the last 2 drives making huge plays that he wasn't the one that scored, but actually he was the one that scored to put him up 20 to 17. I said, but it's just he's not super shifty like anything fancy. He's like a shifty wide receiver, but he's also not like a big bruising back either. So you're just like a lot more success. Like I don't know, I worry about our offensive line against Houston, but I said I'm optimistic surprisingly this week, and I just feel like the key to beat the Texans is going to be keep it close, not turn the ball over. And Aaron Rodgers, like I said, like now getting DK Metcalf back and continue to lean. Like I said, I don't think either one of these guys, especially against the Texans defense, is going to have 100 yards rushing or 100 yards receiving. But between the two of them in rushing and in both of their total yards, could add up to 150, 180 by the time you add rushing and receiving for both players, and then getting Pat Fryermuth involved, DK Metcalf, enough offense, and then hopefully on the backside of the ball, like not giving up those plays at the end. So it'd be interesting to see like T.J. Watt another week. I said T.J. Watt has never won a playoff game, so
That's a crazy stat.
yeah. So here we go.
Here we go, Steelers. Rolling into the state of the Bengals. The Bengals season obviously not going the way any Bengals fan wanted it to go. Finishing 6-11. Joe Burrow obviously missing time.
Same as the Chiefs.
And same as the Chiefs. But Finn, what is the state of the Bengals rolling into the offseason? They announced earlier this week that Zach Taylor and their GM will be returning next year for another year coaching and GMing, I guess.
Definitely going to say draft some defense, offensive line. Just so we could keep Joe on the field, and like if we can keep most of our players on the field, we have a good offense. We just need to get a good defense to level it out, and definitely say need to maybe draft a running back like Chase Brown. He's all right, but like better running back would be good.
Yeah, get a better run game for Joe Burrow.
I did see a TikTok where a guy said that there's a cutoff on the age limit as far as jumping ship on your team. And I thought it was funny because the person I thought of was Finn when I saw this TikTok. But he says, whatever team you're a fan of at the age of 12, you have to stick with that the rest of your life. So you have 3 more years to like the Bengals and love Joe Burrow, but
Or come to the dark side.
or you
Don't
switch.
pick another team. Don't be the same team as your dad.
I think at 12, Finn obviously watches enough football where well-rounded, makes some decisions. It's hard to not like the Bengals for Finn when you see Joe Burrow at his finest in some games, but he was set up for failure from a very young age as a joke. So it's okay if you want to. You have 3 years, and I don't think that Burrow will be there in 3 years. So, spend enough time on the podcast
Really?
over the next couple of years. Yeah, I don't think.
Really?
Yeah.
I was just always laughing at the fact of like I love my kids more than anything in the world, but you said that it was not hard to root for the Bengals. No, it's not hard at all to root for to root against the Bengals. So, but
Yeah.
who would you pick? Who would be your second team? Denver.
Definitely say the Broncos. Just because I went to the game, and 2, they have a good defense and a well-rounded offense, and they could definitely win games.
It could be a new era with Bo Nix. I thought maybe you go
And
with the
T-Bone.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, say about that.
I thought he was going to go with the Packers, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
It's all right. Yeah.
That's my second team that I always rooted for, just from the fact that I loved watching Brett Favre play through his career, and that was just one thing that after watching so many Green Bay games, and then just the transformation from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback, it's hard to steer away from that team and that dynasty. I don't know, I wouldn't call it dynasty, but from that franchise, I guess you would say, that's definitely the one team in the NFC that I always followed. And now it's interesting because there's so many great teams in the NFC that I feel like when we close this season out, whatever the playoff picture turns out to be, I think it's up in the air in the AFC for sure. I think that's an any given Sunday situation, but I think that 5 of the teams in the playoffs in the NFC are better than all of the teams that are in the playoffs in the AFC. So you have to show up and you have to play a good game. But the NFC teams are just they're balling out. So yeah, I'm not becoming an NFC fan, but man, they've been some fun games to watch, and that's where
I feel like the only person that loved Brett Favre more than you was John Madden, but you're above like John Madden's wife. So like,
whoa, I've been on top of no.
Anyways, you got anything you want to add for your actual favorite team over there for the Kansas City Chiefs, or are we gonna save that for the offseason recap?
It's get a running back, get some additional protection from Mahomes. I'd be curious to see what happens with Kelsey in the offseason. I think Kelsey takes the summer off, and then I do think that Pat will be back on week 1 of the regular season. I'll be interested to see what that schedule looks like. It's going to be a softer schedule. They obviously have more options now with the draft. And if you're right, if they go after running back in round 1, and that locks that up, that definitely gives them some options. We've historically what we've seen is Kansas City won a Super Bowl with 7 rookies on the field. So everybody just leaned so far into Patrick Mahomes that's all you have to have, and that's all we had to have for a while. But with age and everything else, shows that you have to have a solid team built around that, and he's got years to give back to the Chiefs, and the whole "In Veach We Trust" mantra. This is the year where that plays out. Hopefully that he puts us back in a spot where we're competitive. We're making the playoffs next year. This was a fluke. Don't give up. If you remember last year, we won a bunch of close games, and that's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, it is the NFL, and it's hard to win games in the NFL. Tristan said, last year when he was with the Titans that, the 2 games that they won, he said they celebrated those games like they were playoff games because it's such a big deal. And so that's how close the level of talent is that, it's for me, anything can happen in there. Last year we won some of those close games. Some of them, that's the whole referees are on their side. This year things just didn't fall their way in a handful of games. So, no, that's it. It's weird to be sitting here on the outside watching this playoff run without the Chiefs because it hasn't been that way for a decade. But I'm never leaving that bandwagon.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is with them making the decision to move Kansas City to the Kansas side of things. I've watched a lot of videos where everybody's coming down the corridor and pounding on the walls and doing their chant. Even after the last couple games at home that they lost, it's a reminder of what a great place that was to play, what a great atmosphere that has been. And as I've gotten older and I've got to go to AFC Championship games there, I've got to go with friends and family, just hundreds of memories. Even this Christmas alone, got some great pictures sent to me, which I'm going to show you guys one here in a minute when we get done. That was awesome. I don't know that I'll go to any more games there at Arrowhead. I don't know what would draw me back to going to another game at Arrowhead. I'm sure there'll be something out there, but
it's just saying in 4 more years, though, right?
Yeah. So I'll be 58 when that gets to Kansas, and I'll definitely want to go check that out. I'm not too old to go and enjoy it for sure, but I've slowed down. I used to go to 4 or 5 games a year, and then it's kind of trickled down to where I remember a few years ago, people were like, I don't know if I'm going to go. And I was like, it's the AFC Championship game at Arrowhead, and you're not sure if you're going to go. That just tells me how spoiled we've gotten with Mahomes there and winning championships and stuff like that. 'Cause this is what you paid money for all year long. And so go and support that. And what a great, great environment to watch a football game in. So I'll miss that, but we're good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this in the universe right now. On Wednesday, January 7th, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame, with their number 9 overall pick. I'm gonna say that right now.
I'm gonna wait till about 48 hours before draft day before I make my pick because it
Yeah.
seems to work out.
I'm gonna say that now. I mean, obviously there'll be teams that trade up or trade down. I'm interested to see, but I think if it shakes out the way I see it shaking, I see them taking Love at 9, and then the next pick would be 40, and I could see them going defense there, or that's when you start building other places. But I think running back is their biggest.
And just to recap where this podcast with Twitch and Box started from was, I was telling Box this summer that, my nephew loves football, watches as much as he can. He knows where players come from. He's got crazy stats just off the dome. And I said, and one of the things that always cracked me up, and we tagged that on Twitter on like week 1 or 2, is that when the draft came around and Twitch said, hey, I know that the Kansas City Chiefs need to pick up some players on defense, obviously. And he said, but if they could trade up and give Patrick Mahomes from Texas, this is a guy that you can build a dynasty around. I said, I don't even know who that is. And so to screenshot that after they trade up in the draft, get Mahomes, and then you see what Chiefs Kingdom and what he has done for that fan base, the organization, it is incredible. So I'll definitely want to get your take on – yeah, definitely want to get your takes because you watched a lot of college football back then, obviously, not as much now. I mean, you've gotten older, you've got kids. Box is kind of filling that role with the college football talk because he's in that spot where he's watching a lot of college football. But, I mean, that was a great take, and that was the reason why I said y'all got to get together and just sit down and talk football because you guys will love this, and I think we'll have a lot of great takes. So I've enjoyed every bit of this. So as we get down to the last couple podcasts, we'll have to do some type of theme in the off season of something else to kill the time. But, yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, appreciate everybody listening. That concludes the Wild Card Week and State of the Teams. Appreciate Twitch and Finn and LSV coming out here with these takes, and we'll catch you guys next week. Next week could be only State of the Broncos, depending on how the Steelers game goes. Probably got a couple more Steelers takes in there, though. But I appreciate everybody listening. We'll catch you guys next week.
Next week's the best week. I say that I'll say that starting next week. But next week to me is like Christmas of football. Next week's the best week of football. I'll put you 2 weeks because you have top 8 teams, 4 games. It's the last Sunday. It's the last weekend. We get 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday with a chance in your conference championship.
Then you get Natty Monday.
And it hide and watch. Like every year, at least 3 out of the 4 games come down to something crazy like the Steelers-Ravens. So I can't wait for this week's week of football, and then next week's kind of the bittersweet.
Yeah, the kind of the
end. At the end, but you get 4 more really good games against the top 8 teams. I can't wait for some playoff football. And last thing, I'll shut up. But just again, what a year! It's and every team has been so inconsistent. I don't remember a year. Seriously, I don't just say it because it's this year, but that it's been more wide open, and you have such an influx or such a variety of, May and Nix and Williams and second-year guys, and guys that have done it before that aren't the favorites, but like Stafford, like Rodgers, and then like Lawrence and Stroud, the guys that haven't done it in the postseason, and then you have guys like Darnold that was rejuvenate his career.
Yeah.
So it's just like
the guy who was seeing ghosts 5
these
years
guys,
ago.
Playoffs are where their legacies are really created. So
so this is an opportunity for all those guys to kind of put their name out there, and if you're a Kansas City fan, everybody's gonna be like, well, there's an asterisk because Mahomes wasn't there, but also that they didn't deserve to make the playoffs this year by just purely record. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But we'll catch you guys next week for divisional week. Excited to see how it shakes out.